Think of that little blue oval on the front of a car, and a couple of years ago we would have immediately thought of dull and adventurous cars that had all the driving excitement of a wet weekend and the style statement of a Bri nylon shirt. Well, Fords may not have been that exciting, but they were still some of the best sellers around. The Ford Escort is one of the top 3 best-selling cars of all time. But I'm afraid that had little to do with their wonderful attributes. More to do with the fact that if you put people in an ice cream parlour filled with every flavour imaginable, from Caribbean Crush to Death by Chocolate to Rocky Road, most of them would still plump for dull, plain, good old-fashioned vanilla. Not exactly an inspired choice, but at least you know what you're getting. Now, the top brass at Ford were well aware of their image, or should that be a lack of one? And even if they did make their rivals weep when it came to the number of cars driven out of the showrooms, they decided to try and make our roads a prettier and more exciting place to be. Enter one crack design team and a new funky look called New Edge.
New Edge design is a new way of thinking for Ford, and we are flowing the concept into most of our new models over the next few years. If you take the cues from Car and from Puma, we flowed these cues into Cougar and extended it a little bit further.
Yes, from those high-tech design studios came cars that really wouldn't look out of place in the window of Harvey Nicks. First of all came the curvy car. Apart from looking so radically different to anything else on the road, it had a name that confused the hell out of everybody. It was the type of cute car that made its owners wave to each other, as they were obviously part of some new, very trendy club. The car really hit the mark and was quickly followed by the car that made driving enthusiasts everywhere drool and dribble at the thought of getting their hands on one. Ford's Puma was an instant hit. It looks amazing, is rewarding to drive, has bags of character, and doesn't make a huge dent in your bank balance. Car buyers simply can't get enough of them, and the Puma was the car that marked Ford's transition from frumpy to fantastic. And it left everyone wondering just what would come next. Well, here it is. Make way in the jungle for the latest big cat from Ford, the Cougar. When the concept was first unveiled, it produced gasps of delight. No one really believed that the actual car could be quite as stunning. But it is. This coupe is unmistakably big brother to the Puma. But at every turn, it's bolder, it's more exaggerated, it's simply more desirable. And where the car was unmistakably curvy, the Cougar is packed with angles. Its lines are strong, bold, and they're razor sharp. Inside is a very different story. All the angles have disappeared, replaced instead by flowing lines, circles, and swooping curves. Now, the interior may not be quite as stylish as that as the Puma, but the Cougar is a very different car aimed at a different kind of driver. And there are still plenty of nice touches. Everything is well laid out, just where you want it to be. The driving position seems comfortable. And there's a couple of Cougar's heads around, just to remind you what car you're in. And for versatility, you can't beat the good old hatchback. And what an enormous load area. For once, you don't have to sacrifice space and versatility just to be able to make something of a style statement. And what a style statement it makes. This feast for the eyes puts the work of some of Italy's celebrated design studios to shame. The cat's eyes light up, they glare out at you. It simply doesn't have a bad angle, and its presence on the road is undeniable. The surprise with the stylish Cougar is that it shares so much with that good old repmobile, the Ford Mondeo. They may well be brothers, but there's no prizes for guessing which one of them got the short straw. One thing you can't deny is that the Cougar's handling is that of a true sporting car.
The machined precision look, the taut surfaces and intersecting planes that finish in some of the detailed edges around the headlamps, for example, the V on the bonnet, the triangle around the mirror area, and culminating at the rear in very triangular, sharp-featured tail lamps and high-mounted stop lamp.
When the Cougar finally goes on sale in November, it will be available with either a 2-litre or a rather more dynamic V6 engine under the bonnet. The 2-litre has a top speed of 130 miles per hour, while the V6 will take you to 137 and will get you from 0 to 60 in around 8 seconds. Not quite as impressive as some of its competition, but Ford are keen to point out that the Cougar isn't a supercharged sports car.
Well, we had a huge advantage in using Mondeo as our core platform. The performance of the car dynamically on the road and in a straight line was just right as a basis for this type of sporty coupe. And it allowed us to use the underpinnings of the car, the basic chassis components and the platform floor, and yet change everything on the upper part of the car, everything that the driver or people in the street can actually see, and in particular the driver can touch and feel, has been changed. And yet it's allowed us to keep the underpinning platform Mondeo with the good solid dynamics and performance of that vehicle at reduced engineering costs and resources, which we can pass on to the customer as a good value for money product.
First impressions of the Cougar are that it's the king of the jungle. It's so full of spirit, you just won't want to part with it. The big question, of course, is how much will this supercat set you back?
Well, Ford is still keeping quiet on that one, but when it does go on sale, you can expect to pay somewhere between 19 and 22 grand for it.
Ford have done it again. With Cougar, they've managed to prove that they really are back on form. Producing cars for those of us who want something a little bit different from life. Those of us who, if faced with the choice, would pick death by chocolate over boring old vanilla any day of the week.